Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I'm Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer, and I am joined this morning by Sandy Atkins in facilitating this service. Our minister, the Reverend Dana Worsnop, is on sabbatical, and our sabbatical minister, the Reverend Carolyn Price, is here with us this morning, but is not taking part in the service because we are welcoming to our pulpit this morning the Venerable Kusala Bikshu. Tell you a little bit. Yay! He is an American-born monk ordained in the Zen Buddhist tradition of Vietnam. He lives and works at the International Buddhist Meditation Center in the Koreatown section of Los Angeles. And he's been active as a community volunteer for 2 decades with volunteer work at the California State Prison for Men, the Los Angeles Central Juvenile Hall, the Garden Grove Police Department, and 10 years as Buddhist chaplain for the University Religious Conference at UCLA. In 2005, the Venerable Kusala Bikshu was awarded the Mayor's Certificate of Appreciation for his interfaith and interreligious work in Los Angeles. It is a joy to have you with us this morning, Kusala. We welcome all of you here in the sanctuary and all of you joining us from home via the wonders of technology. I have a few announcements, but first, in recognition of Memorial Day tomorrow, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor and to remember all those who have served in our military and sacrificed so much for the freedoms we all enjoy. May we never take them for granted. Thank you. First, announcements. We always ask that we leave the section over here by the windows for people who are more comfortable being with others who are masked. 2, after nearly 4 years, Open Mic Night will be back in Berg Hall. All are invited to join as performers or audience members for a fun evening of music and storytelling. It will be Saturday, June 3 at 6 p.m. Contact Kent Brinkmeyer for more information. On June 11, we will celebrate the much beloved Unitarian Universalist ritual of the flower communion. Come one, come all. You are invited to bring a flower or sprig of greenery with you on this joyful day. Finally, please join us for our annual meeting right after the flower communion service on June 11 at 11:30, both here in the sanctuary and via Zoom. It's always good to have the community gathered for the important decisions of our congregation, and your presence helps us establish a quorum. You'll receive an annual meeting packet this week, including an absentee ballot for those who cannot attend either in person or online. More details are available in our weekly bulletin, UUCV, this week. Now, as we prepare to enter sacred space, bring with you what is yours: a burdened heart, a joyous song, a wearied spirit, a seeking mind. Bring the gift of yourself to the altar. It is an honorable gift. Let us enter sacred space.
Good morning. I'm Worship Associate Sandy Atkins, as she already told you. I don't know why I'm saying that. Wishing you a beautiful Sunday here in the sanctuary or out there in cyberspace. I often stream the service while I'm walking to Starbucks, so you can imagine all kinds of us doing wonderful things for ourselves if they can't be here. We invite you at home, if you're at home, to light a candle or a chalice as Sue lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Oberlin, Ohio Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. Come. Let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Carolyn Bierke, the music director, and I want to welcome you all here in the sanctuary or online, wherever you might be. Our opening hymn is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. So please rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing.
Am I on? I am. I would like to invite all the young'uns and the young at heart to come on forward to hear a little tale. Oh, good. We have a number of folks today. Well, good morning. I've never had a chance to talk to this group, so I'm really pleased to do that. My name is Jim, and I heard that today in RE, you're going to be talking about something about high fives. What's a high five? How do we do a high five? We do it with our hands. Yeah. And you know, this month is the last Sunday during what we've had as a theme of creativity. And I want to talk to you about how some people believe our hands were created. Who knows who were the first humans to live where we live now? Yes. Right where we live now. The indigenous people, the Native Americans. Anybody? Anyone? The Chumash, yes. And so the Chumash have a couple of stories about humans came to be here. One is that the great mother Hutash created special seeds and planted them out on Limu, which we now call Santa Cruz. And I'm looking for my cosmology slide, but I'm sure it's going to come. Anyhow, there it is. The Chumash believe that this world, the whole world, has three parts. There's the parts below, where some sort of not so friendly people live. And you see there are two snakes. Those snakes, it's all resting on them. And when they get a little bit antsy and they move, that's why we have earthquakes. There's the middle part there, and that's where we humans live. And then there's up there, the yellow part, that's where the sky people live. And in the Chumash belief system, the sky people were there before there were humans. And now you mentioned Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve, is, of course, is the story that was told to us in the Hebrew Bible, which writes down the ideas of the history of how we came to be. The Chumash didn't write their ideas down. They told their stories in stories. So oral tradition passed their beliefs on from generation to generation to generation. I am not a Chumash person. I am not an Indian at all. But in the tradition of oral tradition, I'm going to thank the man who told me this story, because a Chumash elder told me this story in person. So I am continuing the idea of telling ideas through storytelling to pass them along. So the sky people who lived up there on top were trying to figure out, if we're going to create human people to live in that middle area, what should they look like? So they were all talking about it. And Sky Eagle and others were, and Sky Coyote was there. And Sky Coyote said, ooh, ears. He should have ears like mine. Do you know what the ears on a coyote are like? Kind of like a German shepherd's, pointy. He should have pointy ears like mine. And they're all like, no. And he says, ooh, the face. It should have a long, pointy snout like me, and kind of like many dogs have, right? And they said, no. And this went on. Of course, I'm not telling this quite in the way that a Chumash elder might, but it's the gist of the story. And so finally, they got tired of Coyote saying, all these parts should look like me. And when he said, oh, for the front hands, they should have paws, just like my paws. And do you know what a coyote's paws look like? Yeah, what? Just like a dog's. And they finally said, okay, humans can have paws like yours. So then when they were all done figuring out how to design humans, they went to a great, large, beautiful, white, flat rock for a ceremony. And Coyote was just about to put his paw down on that rock in order to finish the design. And then Lizard, who had been listening to this whole conversation but hadn't said anything, scampered up to the rock, and before Coyote could get his paw down on there, he put his paw right down underneath. And so Lizard's paw became the hands that we have. If you've ever looked closely at a lizard, you'll see that they have fingers like we do, rather than paws like a coyote. So that's the story of how we came to have these hands, according to the Chumash people. Now, I have a question for you, or a couple maybe. The Venerable Kusala is going to be talking to the rest of us today about right speech, right action, and right livelihood. I wanted to ask you about right speech. What do you think? Was Coyote's speech right? Was he doing the right thing, a good thing? Maybe, maybe not. I saw you shake your head. What about Lizard? By not saying anything, what about Lizard? And then, what about what action did somebody take in this tale? Carrie? He was a really sneaky lizard. He didn't speak up during the design phase, and then he just snuck up and put his hand in there. So I'll let you all think about what you think of that action and whether it was the right action to take. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to pass this oral tradition on to you, and now you know it. And I will invite our folks out there now to rise and form the bridge of love as you are able. If you've never done this before, just look and you'll see what happens. And we'll sing our kids out.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
Each Sunday, this congregation gives away our offering to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. Those at home can give through the link posted in the chat or by texting the phone from your phone at 844-901-1779. Folks who are present here today can text to give, or you can still write a check or pull out some cash and then drop it in the basket against the back wall as you leave after the service. Our offering today goes to Buddy Nation to take care of the pets that are such an important part of the lives of many of our homeless neighbors. Here's a story they tell about their work. For the past year, Buddy Nation volunteers have been providing pet food and friendship to a lovely homeless man named Patrick and his shepherd mix Bailey, who is pictured here. Patrick had lost an arm and suffered brain injury as a result of a serious accident. He survived, but he was no longer able to live independently. So the Society of St. Vincent de Paul arranged to fly Patrick to Boston to live with his grandmother, and Buddy Nation was asked to arrange transportation for his dog Bailey so that the two could continue to be together. Buddy Nation cared for Bailey while searching for a donated flight, but eventually they had to pay to take Bailey on American Airlines. Volunteers worked hard to meet the airline's strict requirements, including providing a padded kennel with attached bowls and taking Bailey to the vet to get her wellness letter, a flu shot, and the required breed-specific paperwork. Patrick and his grandmother will meet Bailey at the airport in Boston tomorrow. And St. Vincent de Paul of Boston will get Patrick into the services he needs there. Happy endings like this are only possible thanks to offerings like this one today. We thank you for giving generously as you always do. Thank you, Carolyn. Wow, we are so blessed. And we are so grateful for the generosity of this congregation, which helps us and the organizations we support together weave a beautiful tapestry of love we call community.
I have to slip in a little gratitude. It turned out that as treasurer, I needed to get the budget done this past week, and I was also supposed to put this whole service together, and I cried uncle. I cried Sue, and she jumped in and did everything that I was supposed to do, so thank you, Sue.
Pleasure.
Now is the time in the service when we hold up the great joys and sorrows that grace our lives. We place stones and water for both the celebrations and sorrows in our hearts, making ripples that are felt throughout the community. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link in the website or a link in our Thursday email bulletin you UCV this week. Those received by 8 o'clock on Saturday night will be shared that Sunday. Sorry. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace of our community. Please feel free to continue to add to the chat even after the silent pause has ended. Sue will now place one final stone into the water for all the joys and sorrows yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Please remain seated as we sing words that are attributed to the Buddha. The hymn is "Be ye lamps unto yourselves." It's a little unusual, so I will sing it one time, and then we will sing it 2 times all together. Be ye lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves as to the only lamp. Be yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves as to the only lamp. Be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves as to the only lamp.
Our reading this morning comes from Lama Surya Das as quoted in the book Buddhist Voices in Unitarian Universalism. Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism value many of the same things, including experiential practice, study and self-inquiry, mindful awareness cultivation, insightful wisdom development, and loving kindness combined with active compassion in the world. This is the heart of sacred activism, empowering, educating, edifying, elevating, transforming, and liberating. Perhaps this is why there are over 100 local UU Buddhist meditation groups nationwide, including our own group, the Friendship Sangha of the Heart, which meets Monday evenings. You can learn more about this group by contacting Neil Ortenberg.
A short meditation. For those who aren't quite sure what meditation is or how to do it, this is really simple. If you can bring your attention to the tip of your nose and feel the sensation of breath, going out and coming in, going out and coming in. This brings you to a place where you're centered in the experience of the present moment in your life, with no future and no past. Just the present, found in the sensation of breath.
Our special music today is a Buddhist chant with the music sung and written by Tina Turner. She began practicing her Buddhism in 1973, and the translation to what she's singing today is, may there be well-being in all, may there be peace in all, may there be fulfillment in all, may there be auspiciousness in all. Om, peace, peace, peace.
Thank you, sir. Hidden away. Well, I'm happy to be invited to speak today. I have a few things I'd like to talk about. One of them is dealing with the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddhist map to enlightenment. And I've been giving a series of talks lately on the path factors: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And taken as a whole, it can be intimidating because it seems like there's a lot to do, but in the case of Buddhism, there's a lot not to do. So I'm going to talk about right speech, right action, and right livelihood according to Buddhism. Now, when you become an official Buddhist, you take the 5 precepts, you take the 3 refuges, and you get a certificate suitable for framing. So what are the 5 precepts? They are, I will practice. And I love that word because it's always just practice. I will practice not to take life. I will practice not to take what is not given. I will practice not to indulge in sexual misconduct. I will practice not to speak unskillfully. I will practice not to consume intoxicants to the point of intoxication, which generally is the hardest one to practice. So right speech, right action, and right livelihood fall into that sort of category of behavior. What you say and what you do and how it affects you and all the people around you. So there were 4 kinds of wrong speech. The 4 kinds of wrong speech are false speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, and gossip or idle chatter. Now, I have to admit, one of my guilty pleasures lately has been watching TMZ, which is full of gossip and idle chatter. And in a way, it sort of counteracts all the serious talk that you hear on radio and television and by really smart people, telling us that the end is near and you will suffer miserably. And then you find out about the relationship of 2 stars, and is it on or is it off? And you go, yeah, okay, I can relate to that. Now, out of the 4 kinds of wrong speech, the worst one is not false speech. Though false speech undermines your reality. Now, that's just tripped me out when I first read that. Is here you are thinking you know what's going on, and all of a sudden somebody comes and gives you the exact opposite and says, this is true. And then you say to yourself, well, what is true? What is truth? What is false? How am I ever going to know if it's really true if 10 people say it is and 10 people say it isn't? Now, the Buddha came from a place of empirical experience. He said, the truth comes out when you experience it, not when you think about it or ruminate about it, but it comes out when you actually know it true to be you because you have been there. You've done that. You've seen the good and not so good. And now when people tell you that what you experienced is wrong, you have the option of just listening, saying thank you very much, and go get a cup of coffee. Because people are going to tell you all sorts of things. But malicious speech, that has anger and hatred connected to it. This can really make you feel bad when you don't need to, when there's no reason to. But this person doesn't like you, and this person's going to get back at you, and he or she will use their language and words like bullets and knives. And you go, wow, am I really that bad? Have I really missed the point? Can I make up for it? And the idea is just to sort of settle in with it. Just let people see what they see, hear what they have to say, and you really don't have to do too much thinking about it. You can just sort of let go. Let it go. Where does it go? Who knows where it goes? But it doesn't need to stay with you. You got a lot of stuff to do. You got places to go, and you got people to be. You can't be stuck with this. And then you've got, the harsh speech. And I don't know if you're following the news. You're probably better off not following the news. But this road rage stuff, and talk about harsh speech. They get out of their car, and they come right up to your window. And sometimes they have utensils, and you just go, what? I didn't use my blinker. So? And the harsh speech just comes right at you. And you go, wow, I will never not use my blinker again. I need to let everybody know if I'm going to go left or right. Okay. But you don't need to use harsh speech. You need to use kind speech. You need to use speech that is uplifting, that'll make the person feel better because of what you said, not feel worse because of what you said. Now we come to right action. Not to kill, not to steal, and no sexual misconduct. Wow, killing, huh? A lot of us, most of us, maybe all of us, kill every day without a second thought. Now we've had the rains, and now everything is growing, and what comes next? The mosquitoes. They're everywhere. And there's new ones, they're so small you can't even see them. They just bite you, and then an hour later you've got this little bump on your arm, and you go, how did that happen? Where did that come from? And then you see the mosquito, and you say to the mosquito, you'll never do that again. And you take them out. But did you have to? That's the deal. The cockroaches in your kitchen. They don't know it's your kitchen. They're just there, looking for lunch. And you don't want them there because that is your space. You have a mortgage, you've got property taxes, you've got insurance. That's not their space, it's your space. You work for it, you own it, or rent it, and then you kill the cockroach. And figure your life is better off because the cockroach no longer exists in your life. And then, I love this commercial, and I think it's AAA, but I'm not sure. The guy saves a lot of money because he went to AAA. Okay. So he can do the thing he really likes to do. And what is that? He's got a boat, and he likes to go out on the lake and kill fish. That's what he's worked his whole life for, that boat to go out and kill fish. Now, I know it's euphemistic to call it fishing, because it sounds so, I don't know, like a hobby or something. But really what you're doing is you're just killing the fish. Sometimes you eat it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just hold it up to the camera. Look how big this fish is, and I killed it today. And everybody's patting him on the back. Let's go have a beer. You killed the fish. You go, wow, killing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. In Buddhism, it's never good. And that's the hard part, because sometimes you do have to kill. Sometimes if the mosquito has malaria, you really need to kill the mosquito so 10 human beings don't die. So what's the best way to kill a mosquito? The best way to kill a mosquito is wish the mosquito a happy rebirth. That in its next lifetime, it'll be more than a mosquito. So you're doing the mosquito a favor. You know? So it's the mindset. Can you go into the world and say today, I'm not taking out? Yeah, I think all of us probably got up this morning, didn't say it, but probably believed it. And we made it here, we drove, we didn't get into accidents, we didn't kill anything, kill anybody that we knew of, not intentional. And we made it here, and we never gave it a second thought. But we should all applaud ourselves for not having to kill to get to here today to celebrate life. Not to take what is not given. Man, you know, they're closing stores in San Francisco because people are going in and stealing stuff. So much stuff they can't afford to stay in it anymore. And then the employee starts to prevent the theft, and the store fires the employee for trying to help the store and not lose the stuff. Well, we really have to think about stuff. What is stuff? You know, we have a lot of it. Coming out of LA today, I passed this homeless person on the street. And there was a little tent. And next to the tent was the junk pile, the waste pile, as tall as the tent. I'm thinking humans really like stuff. We work our whole life to have a lot of stuff. And then we die, and then our family fights over the stuff that we couldn't take with us to the grave. And you go, wow, what good is all this stuff? I remember my grandfather had a 2-story house. And it was a beautiful house. We go to visit. And then they got old. God, it happens to everybody. And they went from a 2-story to a 1-story. Okay. So they were there for a really long time. And then it got to the point where they needed to go into assisted living. So they each had a room. My grandmother and my grandfather each had a room. Not together. I don't know what that means. And then my grandfather had 1 chair and 1 lamp. That was what he owned after a lifetime of buying and selling and hoarding and thinking stuff was so important that he couldn't let it go. Wow. I remember when I moved in to the meditation center, I had a guitar, and I had a banjo, and I had a keyboard, and I had a couple harmonicas. And I said to myself, well, I'm moving into the meditation center. This will be of no use to me any longer because I'm going to become an ascetic. So I sold all the stuff, and the stuff I couldn't sell, I gave away. And now, after 30 years at the meditation center, I have a couple banjos. I have 3 guitars. And I have about 20 harmonicas. I'm thinking, how did that happen? How could that practice of asceticism and letting go turn into having even more stuff? The one thing I didn't give away was my desire. And that desire kept prodding me and pushing me to acquire this and acquire that and get that. I'm like, wow, okay, it worked. Now I'm getting really old, well, sort of old. And now this stuff, I can't play 3 guitars. It's too much. I don't want to play 3 guitars. So I'm going to have to give some of them away and let other people enjoy what I had for all those years. Let them enjoy it too. Okay. So this stuff that we keep acquiring, we don't need to steal other people's stuff. That's them. Ownership is an illusion. We never own anything. We're just using it until somebody wants it more than we do. Or we can't find it. Or the new model comes out. And we go, wow, okay. That's what I've always wanted, that new model. It's finally here. Sexual misconduct. Yeah, this is a big one. Because everybody likes sex. You know, if people didn't orgasm, we'd have far fewer people on this earth. It just goes to show you, nature tricked us. You know, and we have kids, and we have more kids, and we have grandkids, and we have great-grandkids. It works so well. 8 billion people and counting. Okay. So what is sexual misconduct according to Buddhism 2,600 years ago? He said, do not have sex with people that are married. I thought that's interesting because before he was the Buddha, he was Siddhartha Gautama, and he had a wife, and he had a child named Rahula. So he understood the value of a family unit and how important it was to protect it. So he said, don't have sex with people who are married. He then said, don't have sex with people who are engaged. You don't want to change their minds. They worked hard to find their partner, their mate. And now you're going to put a question mark in there? No, no, no. You're going to cause a lot of karma, bad karma for yourself and everybody else. So don't have sex with people who are engaged. He said, don't have sex with people who are children being supported by their parents. Because they're children being supported by their parents. Now I know in 2023, a lot of people are moving back home, and maybe they're 40. So is it okay to have sex with them? Check with their parents. And then he said, don't have sex with prisoners. Now I'm thinking, I never wanted to have sex with a prisoner. How did that come up? And one of the commentaries I read was, don't have sex with people against the will. Apparently prisoners don't have much to say about what happens to them. So he was saying, you know, if the person doesn't want to have sex with you, don't have sex. Don't force it. Don't push it. Enjoy the freedom of being single. Enjoy the freedom of non-attachment. Because it will change once that person walks into your life and you'll say, I don't want to be single anymore. I've missed this my whole life. I am so excited that I have a chance now to have a partner in life. And 4 divorces later, just kidding. So giving a talk at a high school, somebody asked in the audience, and the children, how do you feel, Kusala, about never having been married? You know, has that affected you at all? I said, well, I have 10 cats. So I guess it did affect me in some way. So now we go into speech, we have the sex, now we have right livelihood. What is right livelihood? It's making a living that doesn't increase suffering. Can you find a way to make money and not increase suffering? And this is really difficult because a lot of people don't care about the suffering, they care about the money. And money is good, we all need money. The question is how much do we need, but we all need money. So what are some of the things we could do? Well, maybe we could be a politician. And then after further thought, you go, well, some of them are really good. Some of them actually make laws and change laws that benefit humankind. So not all politicians are bad, but your job, if you became a politician, would be to be a good politician, to reduce suffering, to feel sensitivity and empathy for all the people that you're making laws for. How about being a school teacher? Really good, doesn't pay well, but really good. I understand it doesn't pay well, you know? And it takes a special kind of person, after I've given a lot of and to be a teacher. I don't think I could be a teacher. I don't have those characteristics necessary to listen to somebody who's 17 and has this wonderful vision of the future. And then I'm old and I look at my future and say, wow, I have a lot more past than future. And is it wonderful? And then if it's not wonderful, how can I accept it? And all that kind of stuff wouldn't lead to being a good teacher. Maybe a realistic teacher, but not a good teacher. How about garbage man? Or should I say garbage? You know, they're out there every week picking up that trash that you don't want, you know? They're benefiting our city and our state, and they're benefiting your neighborhood. And yeah, that might be good. I've never talked to anybody who wanted to be a garbage man, though. You know, it seems like, well, I guess I have to do it because I need the money. But it would be a right livelihood. You know, it would be a way to make a living and reduce suffering in the world. And then you have, well, maybe I'll be clergy. You know, those clergy guys and gals, they're all out there making a difference in the world. They have so many wisdom teachings that they can share with us to help us live our life a little bit better. And then when we get close to the end of our life, they can help us die well too. Maybe I'll be clergy. Well, clergy's tough because sometimes it doesn't pay well, though some of those TV evangelists, they're doing okay. But the other ones, the ones that actually, you know, go out and talk to people and are concerned about the welfare of the congregation, they don't necessarily make a lot of money. They may make enough money. But even that's in question because most of the money comes in as donations. And if you rely on donations, it's tough. Feast or famine. You never can figure it out. There's no steady kind of thing, you know? But I think clergy would be good because you wouldn't be necessarily sharing knowledge. You'd be sharing wisdom. And wisdom is the language of the heart, not the language of the intellect. So that would be nice to stretch people out and say this. Did you ever think about it in this way? You might give it a try because it could benefit you. And that little change of perspective, that little twist could make a difference in your life and the life of everyone around you. So when it comes to right livelihood, you know, I don't know if all of us really had this idea of what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And then we started to do it and realized you didn't want to do it anymore. And so you took this path and that path. And then you finally get to Social Security and maybe a little pension if you're lucky. And you look back on your life and say, did I choose my life or did life choose me? Which one was it? I always felt I was in charge, but then I thought about it because of all the wisdom teachings I've been accepting as ultimate truth rather than relative truth. And maybe I wasn't in charge at all. Maybe past karma had something to do with it. Maybe being kind had something to do with it. Maybe there were a lot of reasons why I ended up doing what I did. And you know, in the end, it's pretty much all the same. You made it. You made it through life. You might have had an old car or a new car. You might have had a wife or no wife. You might have kids or no kids. You might have pets or no pets. But somehow you made it through life. And now you're coming to the closure of your life. And you look back and said, yeah, this is good. I'm really happy I did this. And in the case of Buddhism, we can appreciate the teachings of the Buddha for giving us direction. Because in Buddhism, we don't think the Buddha could do it for us. We think that he told us how he did it, and that was our cue. That was our intention, to do it the way he did it in our own way. So I don't think two people become enlightened in the same way. I don't think people are choosing their path as much as they think they are. I think we're sort of along for the ride in the flow. And it's wonderful. And it's too bad there aren't more people that are happy about it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. And I brought my harmonica today. So let me pull that out. Thank you. Okay. It's been a while since I played. It's been a while since I played my harmonica because of COVID. And people don't understand that when you have a harmonica, you stick it in your mouth. And those hands that are holding that harmonica that is now in your mouth has shaken 4 or 5 hands, has touched the doorknob, a few of the chairs, and you're sort of wondering, will I get COVID by sticking this harmonica in my mouth? Well, after a couple years and successfully avoiding COVID, I picked up my harmonica again. And I thought, wow, this sounds really good, you know? And this is my favorite harmonica. This one only has 6 holes. And you know what they say about limitation? It causes you to find a workaround. It causes you to be more creative when you have a lot of limitations. So I thought I'd try a 6-hole harmonica to see if those limitations would allow me to play better. So you can be the judge. Here we go.
Our closing hymn is Go Lift It Up. Please rise, embody your spirit. Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day.
Can you hear my eyelashes? Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry into our lives until we're together again. After the benediction, those of you joining us on Zoom will soon see an invitation to join with others in the breakout rooms for conversation. I encourage you to do that. It's always a nice way to get to know a couple people without, pardon me, the noise of Berg Hall. All of you here in the sanctuary are invited to move into Berg Hall through both sets of doors for coffee, tea, bagels, and conversation. If you're a visitor, the connecting table is out this door, and it's often an easier place to meet people and start your visit. If you have a check or cash for the offering, you can leave it in the offering basket against the back wall.
Final thoughts. May those of us who have come together today in mind and heart be happy, peaceful, and free from suffering. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May no problems come to us. May we always find fulfillment. May we also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Thank you.